All right, welcome back, everyone. This is season 2, episode 3 of our Bridge podcast. I'm David Higbee, and then I've got with me Jacob Gonzalez, an alum, the president of our Alumni Association, just a player I coached many years ago. So it's fun to have him on. What's up, Jacob?
What's going on, David? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Glad to be here.
All right, man. Let's do this. So why don't we have you do like a quick intro, a little bio on yourself?
Sure.
And then jump in.
Sure. So, I mean, I can't start talking about myself without talking about my parents. They're Mexican immigrants, came here in their early 20s, really hard workers. My mom's been a housekeeper since she was like 14. My dad's a commercial painter. So they came, and I was born in 98 in Grand Prairie, although I don't like to tell people that. I like to claim I was born and raised in Dallas, but that's not the truth. I was born in Grand Prairie. But I've spent my whole life in Dallas. I went to St. Phillips for 3rd to 6th grade, and then ESD from 7th to 12th. Then I went to school in Austin at St. Edward's University for 4 years, where I studied finance. And I actually didn't come back during my summers. You know, most people during the summer, they'll come back home, unwind, and then get ready for the next school year. When I was in Austin, I didn't want to come back to Dallas, partly just because I wanted to get a taste of the freedom that comes with college. You know, freshman year was fun, and I met one of my friends on the lacrosse team, Sam Fragapane, who I'm actually going to go see next week when I come back from vacation. We're going to go to Cleveland, but he was like, why don't we just stay in Austin? I don't want to go back to Cleveland. I'm sure you don't want to go back to Dallas and live under your parents' roof. So I actually had to get my first job after freshman year, my first real job. I worked at a call center for AT&T from, like end of freshman year to the beginning middle of junior year. So I was there for like a year and 9 months.
Oh, wow.
But that's how I paid my rent and my bills.
There you go.
And yeah, so during those 4 years, I got a little taste of growing up.
Yeah. And then so you graduated last year.
I did. Yeah. May 2020, middle of pandemic. There's a saying, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. Since I was 4, I had this little like dream, and like I would constantly be daydreaming of what it would be like to walk across the stage at graduation, and like the lights on me,
right,
my parents screaming, me shedding tears. Unfortunately, I didn't get to do that, but you make the most of it. I think everything has a purpose and like a bigger plan in the grand scheme of things. So it was really tough, like May, June, July, just the 2020 class graduating and we not really getting the ceremonies. I could have walked this May with the class of 2021, but none of my friends are going, and I was just like, oh, I already graduated. Like that it already happened. I don't want to go back in time and like try to relive it. But yeah, graduated, and now I'm back at home with mom and dad, working for JP Morgan Chase downtown. So it's nice to have like a 10-minute commute to work.
Yeah.
When I do go in the office.
So you're an adult, basically, is kind of like where we're at.
Basically, my mom last week. So we've been discussing me taking my insurance bills and my phone bills for over a year. I told her I didn't want to be surprised by it. I wanted to ease into it. So what did she do? She surprised me with my bills last week. She said, all right, it's time. You're paying your phone bill, your insurance. We need some money for food. She was going to cut me a deal, and I would have to pay her like X amount of dollars for all 3. And she would just like pay them. I would like pay her and pay the bills through her.
Right.
But there's something about the principle of me paying my own bills where I just like, I can't stand for it. So I looked for car insurance. My rates were insane. So I'm paying her still. So I'm paying her for food, But my phone bill, I couldn't do it. I was like, this is crazy. I can't believe you're doing this to me. So I switched phone carriers. I'm probably paying like 3 times as much as I would be to my mother with Verizon, but it's the principle. I tell my parents all the time, if they ever think about charging me rent, I am out. I don't care if it's like $50 a month rent. It's the principle. I will not stand for it. I will not pay to live in my house.
I have so little sympathy for you as someone who graduated and just was like dropped off in the middle of Dallas and had to figure it out. So you're not gonna get much sympathy from me, man. Your parents making you pay for your phone bill and like hinting at rent. You're not gonna get any sympathy from me, man.
Well, it's just tough, bro. Cause like, I don't know. I like to think I'm pretty youthful and I like to stay. I just don't want to grow up. And
There
like,
you go.
her giving me bills and me having to work every day from like 8 to 4:30, it's just kind of settling in that like, one, like sooner or later I'm gonna have to buy a house. Sooner or later I'm gonna have kids.
Yeah.
Sooner or later I'm gonna have to like drive them to school and all this. Like I'm closer to that stage in my life than I am, like pooping my pants.
Right.
And like my mom cleaning it up.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly understand like kind of hanging on as long as you can. I mean, that's kind of partly the reason like I love this job is I'm just like, we were at the picnic and I can't remember what we were doing, but one of the coaches looks over me and goes, "You're like a big kid, aren't you?" And I was just like, "Yeah, basically. Like this is the job and that's my personality, so it fits perfectly."
Just a big kid with a salary.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like I definitely understand the mentality of like, let's just hang on to like our youth as long as possible. It's like playing summer league, right? I'm
Yeah.
twice as old as everyone out there, but I love it, and I'll talk a little trash to the high school kids, and yeah, it makes me feel like I can still run with them. I can't, and I regret it immediately the next day. But
Oh my gosh, I didn't realize when I was like 18, 19, the seniors on my lacrosse team at school would tell us like, guys, like, once you get older, like your body is not gonna like. And I'm like, all right, you guys are like 23. Like, what could you possibly be referencing? Like, you
right,
guys are just being dramatic. But my hip has been in pain for like 2 weeks. My left ankle is messed up. My left shoulder's kind of tweaked, and like, when I was 18, 19, I would feel it, recognize it for like 20 minutes and then just go
yeah,
on with my day and like
yeah,
go back to practice and you know, do whatever I want to do with my friends. Now, like I told the twins when I was hanging out with them yesterday, I go, guys, like I can't do anything. Like you guys just need to calm down. Like we're not about to go on a bike ride around
right.
White Rock Lake for like an hour.
Yeah, it's definitely you after college lacrosse for sure. Like it's so hard to keep that rigor going of just like practices 4 times a week, 5 times a week,
Yeah.
couple games. And then just like running around as like a college student, right? Well, and especially you because you're working virtually, right? Or
So
split.
it's like a hybrid now.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I get to some morning. So I'm it's a rotating schedule. So every other week I'm in the office.
Okay.
Last week was my off week, but I went in Tuesday, and then I thought about going a couple other days, but I woke up Wednesday in so much pain from the back-to-backs on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I woke up at like 7 and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna work from home today.
Yeah,
So I
there you go.
snoozed till like 7:50 and then got up for work. So it's really nice having the option of either going into the office, in the big skyscraper downtown, separating from the room I've been in for the past like 9-12 months.
Right.
There's actually interns in the office. I met one. His name is Mayank. He's in real estate. So it's been cool to sort of, ease into normality.
Yeah.
Slowly but surely.
Let's go back a little bit. Let's go back to the early Bridge days. So one of the things that's been fun is having you and then a lot of that St. Phillips crew kind of come back to Bridge after kind of a hiatus. And it's been a lot of fun to see, like you and then seeing Alex the other night, Chase and Reese. Obviously, Tyler's been around kind of in and out for a while, but
right,
just to see, like that OG crew back. Let's go back to like the origins of like lacrosse for you at St. Phillips. You started 3rd grade, right?
I did. I think my mom heard about it at school and she got I went to St. Phillips with my sister Genesis and my two cousins Isaac and Rebecca. All four of us started playing at the same time.
Right.
I think it was a great way for us to stay connected after school. It was a great way for my parents to know where we are after school, and they worked, so going to practice right after school was very ideal for them.
Yeah.
But it was really hard just because I don't want to say I'm very impatient, but I lack patience because my dad's really patient. My mom's not. I'm really similar to my mom.
Uh-huh.
But I have a really hard time doing things I'm not good at because I just get frustrated. I hold myself to really high standards. So starting a new sport in third grade, even though I was a third grader, third graders shouldn't really be hard on themselves. I had a really hard time just like throwing and catching. I would be at home with Isaac and my dad. And my dad, he was a grown man at the time, so he could throw and catch fine. But he would throw and catch with us, and I couldn't even catch, and I'd be freaking out. I'd be like, "How are you so good? You don't even go to practice." Like, I'm at practice all the time. But it was great because I told so it's funny. My manager for my internship texted me yesterday, and she was like, "Hey, I just watched lacrosse for 3 hours straight. I watched the national championship from this year, last year." She was like, "I didn't realize how fast and exciting a sport it was." And I told her, I go, well, the one thing about lacrosse that I absolutely love is, I was always the smallest guy on the field. I'm only 5'8", like 160 pounds. I'm not LeBron James, but I was always able to make an impact on the field because lacrosse requires a ton of skill, which I developed in college. I didn't have that at St. Phillips, and it requires a lot of heart and grit. I'm just thinking right now, I can hear you and Jack screaming wheels, wheels, wheels on the sideline, and me and Isaac just like not knowing whether or not we have the ball, just like putting our heads down and just going as fast as we can. That's what I love about the sport, and that's what I loved about Bridge. No one on the team could throw and catch besides like Jeremy and Nakai and Tyler. And we still hung in there with some teams. We won a couple games, and everyone had a blast each time. I couldn't even tell you what our records were, and I know for a fact some games we got smoked, and we were all like smiling at the end of games. It was just such an incredible experience.
There's something about that, like that statement right there about getting blown out, but then like loving every second of it. That it's so ingrained in Bridge, and it happens in every team. I remember a few years ago, our girls were at our varsity team was at a playoff game. We were the 8th seed playing the 1 seed. Like, we knew it was gonna be tough. Probably not gonna get too far after that. And we got blown away. It was like 19-5, number 1 seed goes on. But it was funny. I was talking to the parents on the sideline, and they were all like, we don't know which team won based on like their attitudes and their demeanor after the game. Like, if we didn't know the score, you could not tell which team was the winner because both teams were celebrating. One team obviously celebrating a win, and then us celebrating just the fact that like we were having fun. Yeah. And that it was a fun season, and that we just enjoyed playing with each other and for each other. So yeah, that mentality has not changed in the DNA of Bridge, and probably really started with you all. Just like we got crushed, but that was a lot of fun getting crushed and just playing with each other.
And that attitude, happy just to play the game and happy to have teammates, that just like makes the championships and like the district championship that much sweeter.
Yeah.
I think when we were at the banquet on Tuesday, I took a photo with the trophy afterwards, and it just felt a little surreal to me.
Yeah.
Just having, I was there at the genesis of Bridge when it was just a bunch of third graders trying to learn to throw and catch, and now we have a state title. And just looking at it, it made me feel really, really proud to be part of this organization, contributing to it. And looking at that trophy, I was like picturing, Jack and Speedy and that whole crew. What I'm really looking forward to is seeing them grow up.
Yeah.
Because, for those on the podcast who don't know, I also coached 3rd through 6th grade this year, which was super awesome because, when I started, they were really nervous and like, who's this new guy? And by the last week, they're hitting each other on the helmets. They're like being super rambunctious, trying to get away with more things. I learned how to reel them in with the whistle and threatening to make them run. But they have stick skills that I didn't know kids that young could have. Speedy is like slinging it faster than I can right now. And I just can't wait to see them in middle school and in high school and, see them progress like you've seen me and Malcolm and Tyler progress. It's going to be really cool.
It's wild to think about that you're coming into kind of re-entering Bridge as a coach at the same time I was a year out of school. I got the 3rd and 6th grade Saints, which included you and, Tyler and Nakai and Kobe and a lot of those kids. And now to see you like at this stage in your life and seeing that, oh wait, yeah, you're me, 11, 12, 13 years ago is wild.
Right.
Yeah, it's really fun. And yeah, you had a really great group this year of that 3rd and 6th graders that hopefully you get to see every level between now and, when they're your age, in the next decade or so.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for you to promote me over. I'm going to demand the varsity head coaching spot once Speedy and that class are in high school.
It's funny. It's funny you mentioned that we've kind of talked about, because we kind of shuffle the deck on coaches every once in a while, and we'll kind of move guys around where we think they're a better fit, or maybe where they want to go. But we have talked about, why don't we just have a coach stay with every class throughout their whole Bridge career, and then they kind of like cycle back down, after the senior class graduates, win a state championship, whatever, they cycle back down. And there's some nuances to that, but it would be it would be fun to transition every year with your same group.
Yeah. The downside on that is I think like the emotional toll I would take on seeing them leave would be too much.
It's a lot.
Yeah. It's already enough like coaching them one year and seeing them go on. But I think if we were like to follow them and then, whoa, that'd be a lot.
That's a good point. Yeah. It's definitely a lot. And it's a lot even seeing like this current class go of these seniors, like, cause they were kind of like you, like I'd coached them in 3rd, 4th grade, a lot of like that boys table, the boys varsity team. Half of them started when they were your age, right? Really young, and all the way through. I didn't
realize that. And that's so awesome. How did you manage to keep them together for so long?
That I don't think that was anything we did intentionally. That's just such a strong group of friends. And then their parents are very close. Even though a lot of them ended up going to different schools, like Bishop Dunn, Winston, some went back into the public schools, things like charter schools, they all kind of spread out, but for whatever reason, they stayed really close. I think they would have been, I think a lot of that group would still be very close, even without lacrosse. I think lacrosse was just kind of another really great binding variable for them to stay close and together. So I think they're a very unique group in that regard. I don't know if we have that with every single class necessarily, at least certainly not that size, right? There's at least 10 of them who started well before 6th grade that just decided that, hey, we're going to stick this out. So yeah, I don't know what it is specifically, but I think it helped that their parents were very close too. And, kind of they made the effort to get their kids to lacrosse practice and games, even if it wasn't always the most convenient. So it speaks a lot to the parents. But yeah, those boys have been together for years. And like I said at the banquet, we knew this was like a really special group that could do a lot of really great things. And obviously they did. All right, let's get up a little bit. So you take a little bit you go to ESD at 6th grade, or at 7th grade, excuse me. Kind of lacrosse kind of fizzles out a little bit. You play soccer. You get back to lacrosse at St. Ed's. I can see the St. Ed's jersey over your shoulder, and then you get back.
That's right.
And then you're back to Dallas for work, coaching, and then I think, what was it? It was like, must have been the summer, like this time last year. You're volunteering, kind of coming out, open sessions,
Hmm.
throwing around.
That's
And
right.
when did we have the conversation about the Alumni Association? Because that's what I want to dig into now.
I want to say late July,
Okay.
early August.
Yeah. So about a year
So same
ago.
time. Yeah.
Okay. So we had been talking for years about finding ways to engage the alumni. We were doing little things here and there. We had, we did an alumni game, or we do an alumni game, but we felt like there was a really good opportunity to create something, and moreover, let someone else run it. Every
Right.
little group and aspect of Bridge is kind of overseen by me, which is, that's good and bad. But we needed someone to run a part of Bridge that didn't have necessarily like my fingerprints on it. So you seem so enthusiastic to get involved in every aspect of Bridge, right? And that was like, this energy we need, and I think we need it in alumni. Obviously, you being an alumni is the plus. What's been the process like the last year to kind of build this out, and what is kind of your ultimate vision for the Alumni Association?
So I think the ultimate vision is kind of a little similar to what you have for Bridge, is just being able to hand off like the reins to, someone who came through the program. That's like the ultimate vision, having a well-oiled machine up and running. I don't want them to have to think about, how should we do this? Like, why should we do this? I want the framework to already be there. Then like the last year, it's been kind of like a roller coaster. Just given the circumstances, it's hard to get people engaged when, like the entire world is locked up
Yeah.
in their homes. But recently, with even with the interns and this senior class, and just having the summer league every Tuesday, engagement has been coming up. We're scheduling this event for August. I think it's August 6th. We decided on the date.
Nice.
Yeah, but basically, what really drove my desire, and my me wanting to set something up, was the alumni group at St. Edward's.
Okay.
So St. Edward's is a club, or St. Edward's Lacrosse is a club sport at the school. We don't really get funding from the school. We were trying to get new jerseys since my freshman year of college, and we just got them my senior year, because it's there's a lot of politics, and like it's really difficult to get stuff done. You got to get it approved and all that. So the alumni are like a massive part of our fundraising, of our engagement, and they just help keep the program like rolling. And so at St. Edward's, we have an alumni game every October, and it's like this big weekend where we get to meet the alumni. And my freshman year, I participated in it, and I met some of the alumni, and a lot of them were getting the career started. One of them worked at the Fed in Dallas. The other one worked at I think KPMG in Houston. And my freshman year, I didn't really make too much of it. I was just like, deer in the headlights, brand new school.
Mm-hmm.
Who are these old guys? I don't need to know anything about them. But as I was getting older, sophomore, junior year, my mom's texting me, where are you getting your internships? Like, you got to start thinking about your career and all this. And, my class was really good about getting engaged with the alumni, asking them, it's important to ask the right questions when you're like networking with people. We did a good job of, we never asked them for them to like give us jobs. I think a lot of people, that's one like issue I think people like have when they're trying to network, is they're like, hey, I found you, give me a job, like help me. But what my class really did is, how did you guys get those internships at KPMG, at the Fed? how did you do in your classes? How did you utilize your professors? What does your resume look like? So around our sophomore, junior year, me and my buddies started leveraging the alumni, and I was able to get my internship at JP Morgan. And then my two other friends were able to get internships at Deloitte and KPMG. And we took pride in that because we come from a small school. Like a lot of people don't know what St. Edward's is, you know. You say I went to school in Austin and everyone's like, oh, you went to UT? That's awesome. And I'm like, no, I went to a small 5,000 undergrad liberal arts school on like 10 minutes south. Like you probably wouldn't even know where it is. So, you know, being able to say we got jobs at those, you know, at the big four, at the big bank, we took really big pride in that. So when I graduated, I started thinking about, you know, all the graduating seniors, all the people graduating college. And I think this all the time, you know, companies will list, you know, like materials and inventory and computers as like assets they have on their books, but not a single company, at least public ones, they don't list human capital as like an asset. Right. It's not like you can't measure it. I mean, I'm sure you could try, but you can't measure in dollar value like how much someone brings to an organization. So I think human capital is like the biggest asset organizations have and should be leveraging to accomplish their goals. So when I came back, I was like, you know, there's people graduating, going through Bridge every year. It's a new class, it's a new wave, and there's already been a ton of people, you know, from my era to when I was in high school going through it. And I was just thinking, why don't we, you know, we all shared similar experiences through Bridge that brings us closer together. Why don't we try to build something from this? That way, when like, you know, a junior in high school wants to know what it's like to, you know, he wants to know about derivative trading, or he wants to work at a hospital, or he wants to work at a shoe store. And, you know, I want that junior to have the opportunity and the necessary resources to just send an email out, text, phone call, you know, text Jacob, he can help you figure it out. I want that framework to be there just so kids have all the opportunities that should be afforded to them.
Yeah, absolutely. That's been a big thing with Bridge, and kind of the way we've talked about our mission is that opportunity. And my parents told me the same thing when I was a kid. It's like, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And so much of that is true. And if there's ways we can leverage the network that is Bridge, that's continues to grow, like you've seen each class, each year, there's got to be some value in it for the juniors, for the seniors, for the soon to be grads, everything like that. So yeah, it's going to be real. I'm really fascinated by how you're building this out and what it can do for a lot of these kids. Obviously, we have a huge class coming through the ranks, and it'll be fun to see how what you've built now, or what you're building now, will impact, you know, this most recent class and obviously classes, you know, behind them. So yeah, you've done a great job. Obviously, COVID has kind of presented some barriers of engagement, but I think now that we're kind of on the back nine of it, we can do something. I'm looking forward to the event. I'll mark on my calendar August 6th for sure. And yeah, we'll see what happens. But I'm excited. The energy that you know came back into Bridge with is contagious, and was, you know, you were perfect for the role of, we're going to give, and someone who's, you know, not someone who's seen like a different version of Bridge too, is I think is important, right? Like your era of Bridge is different.
Yeah, like I said in my speech, you know, when I got up there, I was like, you know, it's a lot bigger than when I was around.
Yeah.
Just the structure around it. I mean, when we got started, it was just 3rd through 6th, right? It was 2nd through 6th.
It was 2nd through 6th because we let the second graders play up, and then we had the girls and we had the girls program at Irma, you know, a few years after that. But I think when I came in 08, 09, there was a girls program, but it was maybe a couple years old, whereas the St. Paul's program was maybe 4 or 5 years old. I think maybe 4 years old.
And now it's like K through 12. Like when we had our end of the year coach dinner, I walked in and I saw all those coaches in the back, and I walked right out because I had like no idea who any of them were. I thought I
Yeah.
was at like the wrong Cane Rosso.
Yeah.
And then someone's like, no, that's the group. And I walked in and I was like, where are all these coaches from? Like,
Yeah.
what, like, I thought I had all the kids. Like,
In the
what other groups could there possibly be to coach?
It's that's really funny to say. In the old days of like the coaches meetings and coaches dinners, it would literally be like Coach Jack and I, maybe two of the girls coaches, and we'd just go to like a random bar and just like there'd be the four of us at a booth, and that was like how we wrapped up the season. Or when we were doing coaches training, there was one year we just did it at my apartment because I had a couch and a chair and a table, and that was all we needed. There was like six of us, so yeah,
Right.
the coaching. The coaching tree is massive now, and it's just because there's so many more kids ready
And
to
aren't
go.
like half of us, like, we went through
Yeah.
Bridge, right?
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's by far one of the most special things I think that's happening right now is the level of alumni engagement. So we had 26 coaches, 11 of them, 11 of you all were alum, had played
Right.
with Bridge at some point, and that number continues to increase. When we ran Summer Academy in 2019, there were, I think, half the coaches were alum. And so, yeah, that's something that's really, really special to me. That number will change because so many alum were back in town because of COVID, just because
Right.
their school campuses were virtual. But,
Mhm.
I got to think that will continue to be a big part of our coaching, staff, our alum, and, uh, people like you who are like, hey, I was involved with Bridge and I loved it and I want to come back. I'm back in Dallas. How can I return to my roots, my lacrosse roots?
Yeah. It's like, how did we get a hold of Reese?
Ah, goodness, that's a great question.
Because I haven't seen him in years, and I just
Yeah,
remember lining up next to him and seeing this 6'7"
I know he's so
tree
tall.
next to me, and I was just curious
His
because it's
little
great to see
sister,
him.
plays. Um,
Okay.
London plays, but she didn't start playing until this year. It's just one of those things where I think a parent or a kid will just kind of remember, oh, I kind of liked lacrosse. I wonder if it's still around. And we'll get a phone call or an email saying, hey, do you still do this? It's on Monday night when we do our open sessions. There was a former player of ours came out, Bianca, hadn't seen her since, I think she graduated 2018. She's bringing her little cousin out, and she's not on our email list. She's, we don't know how. She just
She
sort of
probably
remember.
actively went out of her way to look
Yeah,
up.
and I think that's
Hmm.
a big part of it too, and I think it helps that our visibility is a lot higher too, whether it's social media, whether, some of the media. Obviously, the two championships have been very helpful
Yeah.
in like sort of recruiting or making people more aware about of us. But yeah, that's another example like Reese of just someone who's like, oh, I kind of miss lacrosse. Who do I call? I'll just, maybe Coach David's email still works, type of thing. And it's great. It's been a huge part of it. But yeah, seeing you all on the field on Tuesday is so wild to me. And I need to call Coach Jack and just tell him like, hey, all those
Yeah.
OG Saints, they're back, and you need to get back out here with us too. So, but I think it speaks a lot to how engaged you all want to be with your roots, and how, we talked a lot about at the banquet of like, kind of don't forget where you come from. And I think that's a good example. You all, I mean, you weren't really involved with Bridge from 7th grade to senior year.
Yeah.
Of college. That's a big time frame. And for you to come back and say, oh, right, there's that organization that had a huge impact on me, I'm going back. That speaks very highly to you and your mentality of don't forget where you came from.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, I was gone for a decade, pretty
Yeah.
much,
Yeah.
which
And you jump
is,
right back in like it was nothing.
yeah. It
One last
was
question
awesome.
before we wrap up. Talk to me about your experience coaching and being on that side of the field, versus, as a player.
It is really rewarding because I did third through sixth, and we all combined them just because of numbers and all that jazz. The level of like they could pick up on drills pretty quickly.
Uh-huh.
During practice, the first couple weeks, we kept practice pretty simple, line drills, shooting, and by the end of the season, I taught them the wheel and like the dodging
There we go.
on 6-on-6. it was just super fun. I told them this like every week. I don't know if they thought it was a joke. I certainly wasn't kidding. I told them that this was like the highlight of my week. Um, which it is. I love kids.
Yeah.
I coach soccer in college, so that's another reason I wanted to get back into it. Just I think kids are like the light of the world. They bring so much joy, and they could be having like the worst day, and then once they step on the field, they put blinders on. It's lacrosse time.
Yeah.
Everything else that's happened before doesn't matter. So I told them that all the time. I go, you guys are the reason I get up on Tuesday mornings. And they're like, really, coach? That's kind of sad. But it was super fun. I was able to add more complex drills as we went on. And it just, it helped me it reinforced the idea that I like coaching.
Yeah.
I think it's fun. I'm pretty good at it.
For sure.
I think it takes like a level of not narcissism, but you got to have some confidence to stand in front of a group of boys or men and be like, hey, I'm going to lead you and you have to follow me. I think my senior year of college really helped me with that because, I picked it back up freshman year, was all right. I wasn't like stellar. But then I made it a mission to get really good at lacrosse from then on. I did like private lessons with our best player who was from Manhasset, New York, Andrew Stingy. He was a genius, best player on the team. But I would text him after my shifts at AT&T in the summers. I'd be like, hey, let's go for an hour. I needed to learn new skills. And he was like, all right, cool. I'll meet you there. I'll bring the ball bag. So I went from like a bench player my freshman year to starting and being the captain my senior year. And I learned a lot because in the fall, you'll learn this if anyone does club lacrosse in college. In the fall, people don't want to go to practice. A lot of the juniors and seniors are hungover for Friday practice. The freshmen don't think they need to go because they're brand new. So, keeping people engaged was really hard. I sort of tried to take it on like ruling with hate. And like I would be yelling all the time and like getting on people like, you need to be here more, you need to work harder. It didn't really work well. The sophomores and juniors hated me by November. So when the spring came around, I started putting my arms around them. No more yelling, only encouragement. And I saw a huge difference in how my teammates were reacting to, what I was screaming on the field, how I was telling them to do drills. And, I took what I learned there and I've just been running with it with coaching, with work, with, meetings. So that's, I try to keep those lessons in my mind when I'm coaching, because even though they're 3rd through 6th, even though they're so young, they still are like pretty bright and like pick up on things, like which drills like if I go up and we're doing the same drill that we did on Tuesday, they're gonna be like, coach, we already did this and we did it really well. Like, why are we still doing this? So, you got to bring more exciting drills and just, it's just so much fun. I can't wait to get back out there.
That's awesome. It's funny you mentioned it. It is surprisingly intimidating to be in front of a group of kids. Like I will say I probably am more nervous about speaking to like a large group of kids than I am adults, because kids are also just kind of mean sometimes. And like, they'll kind of chew you up every once in a while.
Yeah.
But just
no filters.
There is a responsibility that you have when you're in front of when you're in front of a group of kids, sort of leading them or directing them and instructing them. Like you really have to get it right. And
100%.
They're pretty intuitive. And if you kind of mess up along the way, they'll call you out. But more importantly, it's that responsibility that I'm in a role that has a duty to teach these kids and X, Y, or Z, right? And do so in a way that's positive and joyful and meaningful.
Exactly. Like before practices, I would just take like 10 minutes and write down some drills that I thought they would be able to do. And I did that just because, like you mentioned, I have a responsibility, not just to give them drills. I have a responsibility to teach them lacrosse and teach them lacrosse the right way, and not, we don't want them developing bad habits or things like that would carry on. So yeah, bringing the right drills, having the right attitude. There would be days where I'd have a tough day from work, and I would come in kind of like low on energy, and it would bleed into the first 30 minutes. The kids would do the same thing.
Yeah.
They're like jogging, lollygagging. I realized that like the first couple of weeks, I was like, okay, so I got to bring it too.
Yeah.
Like I can't just show up and be like, all right, guys, it's practice. Go, like, get after it, give it all you got, but then be on the sides and just be like, oh gosh, like I got to do that report tomorrow. Like, oh gosh.
Right.
You got to bring it. You got to bring the energy. You got to let them know I am just as engaged in this as you are. So you should like follow suit.
We talk a lot about as coaches about having joy when you coach, and I'm like you, I love coaching. I get so much out of it. It's so much fun. But yeah, there are days where I'm like, I'm exhausted, I'm spent. Today was a rough day, but I have to kind of turn that switch on and get to that level where my kids or this team will get a good practice. And if I'm coming in kind of low energy, like they're going to match that right away. They're going to see right through that and just say, all right, well, coach isn't that engaged. So we can take a nap through this drill, guys. And that happens a lot sometimes, but yeah, it's something that it's great that you figured that out so quickly. That
it also helped having Jonah, Kyle, and Malcolm.
You got some good coaches.
We would rotate. Yeah. Cause two of us would like take the kids and like be like, this is what you got to do, while the other two would just be setting up the cones and talking to the kids like, how's your day? Because that's one thing I really try to do as well, is not just coach them and teach them lacrosse, but the 10 minutes before practice while they're suiting up, how was your day? I made sure to ask them like how your day was. Did you learn things today? Just to check in and make sure, they aren't, sad or getting bullied or anything like that.
Yeah. The relationship building is a big part of all of this, and happens organically and intentionally as well. And you, like I said, you did a great job. You had great coaches around you to help, but you took on a lot during the season, certainly. And I appreciate that.
100%. It never felt like work. Not a single moment. I enjoyed everything. And one thing I just want to just speak on, so like people listening, there was a kid in this year, Jack. He would drive from Waxahachie for practice. Yeah. And just thinking about that, and when he told me that, I was like, oh my gosh, like kids are going out of their way just to come play lacrosse with us. Like, this is awesome. This is awesome. It's
really cool. We have a lot of stories like that. The commitment and investment some families put into Bridge is so high, and they will cross a lot of barriers to get to us and be a part of our organization. It's really cool. And it speaks to the coaches, right? That, these kids want to be coached by you all, and they want to play a game that is completely foreign, maybe in their neighborhood or their school. So yeah, you all are great ambassadors. You certainly are a great ambassador for this organization. Obviously the younger Eagles teams. It's been fun. It's been fun to have you like so highly engaged over the last year, man.
Good. I'm glad it's only going up from here. Yeah, so absolutely. Don't get tired of seeing my face.
Not at all. Well, I think that's about it, man. I appreciate you jumping on and doing this, man.
Yeah, 100%. More than happy to do it.